Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Star Wars video. This one's going to be my kind of thoughts, discussion on the big pieces of news to come out of Star Wars Celebration Orlando. And so the main things I'm going to be talking about today are going to be the Last Jedi trailer, the Star Wars Rebels Season 4 trailer, as well as some of the other little announcements that came. So let's start with the big one, the Episode 8, The Last Jedi trailer. I'll be honest and say I wasn't particularly excited by it. I think it was a very basic teaser trailer that didn't really give us a lot of extra insight into the movie. I get it's only meant to be a teaser trailer, and so it's never going to be like amazing. But this one felt especially like very, very by the numbers in that I think the title gives more insight into like what the story is about rather than this trailer. The only, I think, thing to in any way discuss is just the fact that Luke at the end says, you know, like the Jedi kind of need to end, basically. So just that his mentality right now is that he feels that the Jedi need to come to an end. And that's his perspective on it. So, like, what does that mean for, like, Rey more or less coming to that place to be trained by Luke as a Jedi, effectively? So are they going down some sort of a grey Jedi, you know, in the middle path, or what? Or is it just that the Jedi need to be kind of changed and kind of reordered into something different? Or will it just be that, no, the Jedi will be the thing at the end, it's just that Luke is the one who actually needs to change. He's obviously in a relatively dark place, having witnessed, I suppose, the death of the new Jedi Order, kind of, that we didn't get to see on screen. And so he thinks that, oh, is it just destined that the Jedi are never meant to be around? And so is that just what's meant to happen, and the only like hope is just to do something different? But for me, that's about it. You know, like you could spend all day like going through the shot by shot, but I don't think there's a lot to say. It's just like the obvious stuff that you expect is going to happen. Of course, Resistance versus First Order is going to happen. So like the Poe Dameron shot where like the base comes under attack, it's just like, that's completely something I expected to happen, because of course the First Order weren't exactly just gonna like stay down while the Resistance just attacks. I think a lot of this comes down to the fact that so much of the world building aspects of the sequel trilogy are just so undefined. We don't know how big the First Order is. We don't even know how big the Resistance is. And then in the aftermath of Episode 7, we don't even know like what the power structure is like in the galaxy, in the sense of like they blew up like the key planets and basically the Senate. So like, what is the Senate now? Who's in control? Like, it's a lot of that stuff that's very confusing, that I feel like the teaser trailer should have maybe at least touched upon, to just give us a bit of an insight into like, okay, here's the interesting stuff with Luke and Rey. But then on the like First Order versus Resistance side of things, I feel like something should have been said to make that a little bit more interesting than it is right now. Because to me, I don't feel a lot of like excitement about the First Order versus the Resistance, because it feels very similar to the Rebels versus the Empire. Like, it doesn't feel like there's a ton of differences at all, especially with, as I said, how undefined both factions really are. So the trailer was fine. I'm excited already for Episode 8. This trailer didn't really raise my expectations up or down. It was just like, okay, it's about the same spot as I'm at since The Last Jedi. I just hope that the path that they take is more Luke kind of needing to realize that, no, the Jedi is still the way to go, and it's kind of character development for him to get past that with maybe the help of Rey. But yeah, let's move on from The Last Jedi. The only other stuff they really revealed, even though there was a whole panel, was just that there's a new character called Rose. She's like a maintenance technician, and that's about it. That's literally all they said about the character. I don't expect a ton from that, but that's really all there is there to say. I don't think there's a ton to say about Finn. Again, you know, it's going to be interesting what they do with his injury, if that's a big thing or a small thing. Who knows? But again, very undefined what exactly is going on there. But let's move on to the Star Wars Rebels Season 4 trailer. So the big thing that we got here was that it was confirmed that Season 4 is going to be the last season of Rebels, which I'm not disappointed by. I think that is a right decision to make. I think the show has been struggling to I think it's been struggling to like showcase like any sort of like growth really. It's just like it's a show that's been there. It's kind of gradually advancing towards, you know, episode 4, and I think it made sense to like just commit like, okay, we'll end it here. We'll get to those points that you wanted to hit, and that's really it. Again, it's another trailer I don't really have a lot to say about. It was very by the books. Like, okay, the Mandalorian stuff is going to be a pretty big, important aspect of season 4. We get that. Hera, you know, I suppose the focus on the rebellion now that it's more of a kind of fully formed thing, in terms of like a lot of rebel cells working together. It actually like almost is the Rebel Alliance now. That's fine, and I'm definitely interested to see where, you know, they take that. Um, but you know, like seeing like characters like Saw again, it's like, okay, fine. You know, he's part of the rebels, leading a little bit more into Rogue One. That's fine. But I think it's just things like I again, like I keep saying this, I don't really feel like many of our characters have grown that much. Like, I don't feel Hera's had a lot of growth. I don't think Zeb has had a lot of growth. Sabine, depending on what they do with the Mandalorian thing, I think it'll be very much defined what her character has been over the course of this show by that. Yes, Ezra has like changed, but he still doesn't feel quite like super important to me, in the sense of like the only thing I can in a way see for him at the end is just that they kill him, or change like the fact that he's maybe not a Jedi at the end. They decide that there's something different. So the whole idea of like Yoda saying, you know, like Last of the Jedi, um, doesn't really mean anything. But to me, like it almost has to be the case where like Kanan and Ezra are killed in this season to kind of explain why everything happens the way it does. Um, Outside of that, it's just like, okay, cool. Callus's new design. I'm excited to see what he's like as a more kind of active part of the rebellion, not having to be like undercover all the time. You know, Thrawn, we saw a little bit of him in the trailer. Saw some of the action stuff that they're doing. But I definitely hope that this is just a trailer for like the first couple of episodes, because there wasn't a lot of really unique and interesting things to me in this trailer. So I'm hoping that maybe we get the second half of the season trailer, and maybe that shows something with Ahsoka. Because obviously during the panel, Dave Filoni, I think initially was wearing a T-shirt that said like "Ahsoka lives?" question mark, and then when he came back after the trailer, he was wearing a T-shirt that says "Ahsoka lives!" exclamation point. And obviously it's a lot of speculation after the end of season 2 that Ahsoka actually survived that battle with Vader. So where they go with her is going to be a big interesting one as well. Um, so to me that's definitely unique. But again, the trailer didn't do a lot to excite me for season 4. I'm excited that it is the last season and that they're not overly extending the show beyond, I think, what its natural kind of lifespan as a show is. The other thing they announced was a series of YouTube shorts. What was it called? Like was it called Forces of for Change? I'm not exactly sure. I didn't look into it too much, but by the looks of it, it's going to focus on some of the key female characters from Star Wars, and they're going to be like a couple of minute shorts that they put up on the Star Wars YouTube channel. Rey is going to be in them, Ahsoka, I think, Leia, those type of characters. And I was just like, okay, fine, cool. I'm not exactly sure why they felt the need to limit themselves just to female characters. I get what they were going for here, but to me, it's just like, wow, that seems like like a cool idea, but at the same time, like, wouldn't it be cool to also see some of these shorts for some of the other characters as well? Like Obi-Wan, who's a character people I really want to see more of, like, see some of that. But hopefully they can include other characters in these shorts. But yeah, I'm interested. I don't think they're going to be like anything particularly notable with regards to story or character development. It's just going to be more time with these characters, and especially Rey, who we don't have a ton of like content with just yet. That should be really exciting. On the comic merchandise kind of book side of things, I think this is probably one of the more disappointing aspects. I've been relatively disappointed with mainly like all the book stuff and comic stuff since the kind of takeover has happened and the new canon stuff is coming out. For the most part, I've been relatively disappointed, especially on the novel side of things. I have not been happy at all with what they've been putting out, and the announcements that they made here didn't change that, unfortunately. They announced a Phasma novel was the main one, and then they also announced these two other books that I really don't know what they're about. They're like Journey, like they're meant to be set between episode 7 and 8. One's called like The Legend of Luke Skywalker, and then the other's like Leia of Alderaan. Um, I'm not really sure what those books are, very undefined. Phasma got a novel announced as well as a comic series, a mini series. And I'm like, okay, fine, you're going to explain how she survived between episode 7 and 8, and then I suppose the novel will go into more of her history. That's fine. She's an interesting enough character. But my question is, like, where are my prequel novels? Where are my, like, Old Republic novels? Why aren't you addressing the fact that Star Wars is a universe? Like, you've basically just made almost everything in the entire Star Wars universe non-canon. Why aren't you doing anything to fill out this in the new canon? That's where a lot of my frustration is coming from. Like, when are we ever going to get a prequel novel again? To like address the fact that there's so much Clone Wars stuff that should be covered, and then especially like all those kind of stuff like Darth Plagueis, that sort of time period prior to Episode 1, as well as a lot of Old Republic stuff with the history of the Sith and older Jedi. When are they going to address any of that stuff? That's where a lot of my frustration is coming from. There's just that they did basically just take everything out and aren't really adding enough back in. And then the stuff that they are adding back in seems so ancillary that it's not really important. And not a lot of it has the impact it kind of needs. Video games, they did show the first trailer for Star Wars Battlefront 2, which looks to have a single player campaign and kind of improve a lot on what the initial game did. I only played the beta for Battlefront, and knowing that it was only going to be multiplayer, I never actually bought the game. So Battlefront 2 looks to be improving on everything that I kind of wanted the first game to improve upon. And so, depending on how like gameplay reveals go and stuff like that, I think I actually might, jump on board for Battlefront 2, because I like the idea of those games. It's just I like having a single player portion as well. And if this is indeed as good as I'm expecting, I definitely think I might actually jump on board for Battlefront. But I think that's more or less everything that of note that I wanted to talk about. None of the toy stuff I think was particularly notable. So yeah, in the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on a lot of the big reveals from Star Wars Celebration Orlando. What were your thoughts on the Last Jedi trailer, the Rebels Season 4 trailer, the announcement of those shorts about the female characters, and the novel and comic stuff? That's definitely what I want to hear about. But yeah, that's been the video for today. Thanks for watching, and bye.